Howdy, everyone. Tad Stevens on the Micro Success Secrets podcast, where we focus on business, psychology, and marketing, and how you can use that in your business daily and long term. Today, I'm talking with Chris Loper, who is the creator of becomingbetter.org, a blog devoted to the science and practice of self-improvement. Chris also writes for Northwest Educational Services, and he is the owner of South Cove Tutoring in Issaquah, Washington. Glad I got that right. Chris, welcome to the show, and let me know if I missed anything.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ted. Listeners should also know that I'm a behavioral change coach, which means that I help adults quit bad habits, start healthy habits, and overcome procrastination.
That could be super helpful for me in particular. That's one of mine. But all right, so super. So let's get rolling. If you could get in a time machine and go back in time to any point you wanted, and you could change one business or life decision, first off, would you change it? And if you would change it, what would you change it to?
Yeah, I would change it. My approach to business has been the side hustle approach, where I've gradually transitioned away from my day job to working for myself and creating passive income. And looking back, I think I was overly cautious in that regard. So if I could change what I did, I would have cut back my hours at my day job earlier and more aggressively.
Okay.
Because the best way for me to spend my time is not to earn a bigger paycheck this month. The best way for me to spend my time is to invest my efforts in creating things that can grow in the long run.
So yes, myself. But kind of related to that is the next question, which is if you could go back in that time machine again and you could look at your decisions that you've made and you could find one or two that turned out to be super positive. I mean, you look back and you think of everything before that and everything after that. It's kind of a dividing line. Do you have one of those that you'd share?
Yeah, well, one for business and one for life.
Okay.
For life, getting sober. I've been sober for about 6 years now, and it dramatically improved my life. So for anyone out there struggling with addiction, please know sobriety will actually be much easier than you're imagining it to be, and you will not regret it.
Super.
Yeah. For business, the best decision I ever made was raising my prices.
Oh, I love it. I love this. Please go into more.
Yeah. So I used to not charge very much for my coaching because I was just happy to have clients. And if I was making more than at my day job, it seemed like a good deal. But since they weren't paying very much, they didn't take it very seriously.
Yep.
So now I charge real money and my clients actually have some skin in the game. And that means they're more committed to doing the work. So it's actually better for both of us.
And I want to mention here that I have a similar experience. Like I can literally remember trying to charge $200 for something, consulting, coaching, something.
Yeah.
And the clients I got were not into it. They were not committed because I mean, $200, you can lose $200. But when I started charging $2,000 for, I mean, there was a little more to it. I put more into it. I put more effort, but I got a lot better quality of client.
Yeah. I think it was Seth Godin who said that price is a story. It tells potential buyers about the value of the product. People like to save money, but nobody wants a cheap product. They want something that's truly valuable. So if what you have to offer is truly valuable, and my coaching certainly is, you need to price it accordingly.
I love the quote. I got to make sure I put a timestamp on that one because that is a great one. Price tells a story. I hadn't read that he said, but I love it. So, I mean, you went from sounds like a day job, maybe corporate, whatever, to what you're doing now, and kind of eased into it. Some of the decisions that you would have had to make to do that, one way, the other, at all. Did you have a method of how you approached those decisions, dealt with them, and worked through them to get to the other side that you could share? because a lot of people come to that. I mean, I do SCORE mentoring, as I've mentioned here on the show, a lot as well, out of Denver. And I talk to a lot of people, especially in SCORE, that just get afraid, they get stuck and they can't move. But you're obviously on the other side of at least that part. How do you do it?
Well, one of my practices that's been incredibly helpful for me is to start every day with some kind of wisdom or some kind of self-improvement material, in order to saturate my brain with good ideas. You know, find that I will make better choices throughout the day if I've been reminded of something smart or wise at the beginning of the day.
Yes.
Even if it's something I already knew, I just needed the reminder. But being stuck, there's a lot of different ways people get stuck. I think, the two most common ones that I experience are, procrastination or when you get stuck on like a particular problem you're working on, like writer's block. When that happens, like you need to walk away from what you're doing for a little while, like go to the park, do some chores, take a nap. And some of your guests have hinted at this before. There's actually some cool neuroscience behind why this works. When you are working on something, your brain's in what's called focused mode. And only a very small part of your brain is activated. But when you walk away and relax, your brain enters what they call diffuse mode. In diffuse mode, your subconscious mind continues to work on whatever it is you're trying to figure out. And the neural activation is literally more diffuse. So it's more spread out. And that means different parts of your brain communicate with each other. So you have access to a broader array of ideas. And that's why people often come up with solutions when they're not focused on the actual problem.
Oh, yeah. Mine's the shower. I mean, the shower and exercise are my two. It just pops.
Yeah, that's super common, and it kind of feels like magic. But it's actually like how your brain works.
Excellent. I got to mention that one too, because that focus and diffuse mode. I hadn't heard those particular terms before.
Yeah. And then the other really common kind of being stuck is procrastination. So hopefully I can give you a tool you could use.
I'll take it.
You're not alone. It's the most common thing people ask for help on. So when you're just not doing the things you need to do, most people make the mistake of waiting around until they feel motivated. You think, I got to be motivated in order to take action. What they don't realize is that you can make your own motivation by taking action. So when you start doing the work, you'll tend to get momentum and you'll actually want to keep going.
Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. And we've all had that experience. And then, of course, we forget that worked.
And then tomorrow, here it is again. Yeah.
And there's actually cool neuroscience behind this idea, too. When you're procrastinating on something and you think about doing the task, the pain center in your brain fires. Brain scans show this. But then if you actually start doing the work, after about 5 minutes, the pain center in your brain is no longer active. And we've all had that experience. The task you think is going to be terrible, it turns out it's not so bad.
Turns out to take 15 minutes, and I've put it off for 3 weeks. Yes,
right.
I know that one.
You might even like doing it once you get into the groove, or at least you enjoy the sense of making progress. And of course, if this makes sense, great. But bad news is you're going to forget. I teach this all the time and I still forget it all the time. So, I have some handouts on my wall that remind me, how to overcome procrastination. And those are at the end of my article on it. So if people, reading or want to go there, they can print them out and put them on the wall in their office.
Super. Outstanding. And I also want to note what you said about the positive things, the quotes, the wisdom that you read. I have a list in the morning that I read, and it's the same list every day.
Oh, nice.
And I add to it, I take away from it, but it's what I have found. It really changes my attitude. because a lot of mornings I just don't want to start. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
coffee just doesn't do it. I just, it's too early. I just don't want. But, for example, one of my favorite ones is the Zig Ziglar quote that I'll get everything, or you'll get everything in your life if you help enough people get everything what they want in their life, something of that nature. That is one of my best and my faves. So super appreciate that.
Yeah.
So next question is, say you got back in your time machine and you could go back to whatever time you wanted, or something like a global pandemic hits, or maybe you move to another country, something happens and it disrupts what you're doing right now and you had to start over. Do you think you'd be doing the same thing you're doing now, or do you think you'd do something different? I've had some great answers on both sides on this, so it's whatever works for you.
Yeah, I mean, I love what I'm doing now. I get to help people, really become extraordinary and live the life that they really want to live. But when I started, I wasn't clear on who I wanted to serve and what my ideal client was. I made the mistake of trying to serve everybody instead of having a niche.
Yep.
And so, if I had to start from scratch, I would be very clear from the get-go on who it is I'm trying to help and who I'm not trying to help. I started as a life coach, which is a term that is so broad as to be completely meaningless.
Yes, it is out there these days.
Yeah. Even though I knew that my experience and my expertise meant that I should just be helping people with targeted behavioral changes, quitting bad habits and starting healthy habits, things like that. I don't want to tell you how to live your life. You probably already know what you want to do and what you need to change. And you've probably already tried, make it happen by brute force of willpower. And maybe you tried going it alone and that didn't work. So when people have done that and they're ready for a more strategic approach and they just want accountability and support in the pursuit of their goals, then I'm your man.
And I want to comment on that, the things that I have learned, and I've forgotten and learned them again and forgotten and learned them again throughout my life, is that, or that reminds me of what, I can't remember who said it, but it's a quote about habits. Habits can either serve you or they can pull you down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you get to choose your habits. And it's super important that you develop the habits that get you where you want to go. And not necessarily the ones that keep you on the couch, not going anywhere. but no, I think that is wonderful, because that has been super important for me. And just, it just mundane things like an exercise routine.
Yeah.
I can't stress how, I've gotten into the habit of doing my exercise routine probably half a dozen times through my life, and then I'll quit. And then I'll get back in the habit. When I'm in the habit of doing it, the benefits are so much more than when I'm not doing it. It is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that is something that really isn't related directly to business, but it does help. So,
well, your brain is your number one asset. So, exercise is incredibly good for your brain. So I think taking care of your brain, via taking care of your body first thing every day, I think that's priority number one for anybody running a business.
Well, and it's one of the places that I get some of my best ideas, because what we were talking about earlier, stuff just pops in there. So it helps for that as well.
Yeah. If I try to just start writing at the beginning of the day, I usually don't have ideas. But if I start with exercise and meditation, usually my brain is just spinning with ideas. I can't wait to start writing.
Then the problem for me becomes getting them all down before I forget them, because sometimes they just flood. I'm just, I got to remember that. And but yeah,
I take the Scott Adams approach, where you have a pad and pen and paper, within like 5 feet of every location in the house.
I love it. Oh, great. Oh, Chris, super. Really appreciate the sharing and the ideas. I've got 3 or 4 things actually that I'm gonna make sure I timestamp besides what we normally do. But again, really appreciate you sharing all that. Is there anything that you'd like to close with? Anything you'd like to leave the viewers and listeners that might benefit them, including your contact information if you're open to that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We can throw that procrastination article in the show notes so people can get those printouts if they want them.
Super.
The number one idea I have for people is that, when something's really hard, when you're facing a tough problem in your life or in your business, you got to remember the problem is not you. If you're struggling, it's because the problems you're facing are just genuinely hard problems.
Okay.
And here's the good news. Other people have already figured out how to solve them. They figured out the mechanical, strategic solutions to those problems. So don't reinvent the wheel. Learn from other people.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, to that end, if you're serious about changing your habits, if you really want to create an extraordinary life, I would love to help you do that. Head over to becomingbetter.org, check out my work, and shoot me an email if you want to connect. It's chris@becomingbetter.org.
Okay, outstanding. Make sure, or we will make sure that all of that is in the show notes and in the description of any place we post the video or audio so that people can have access to that. Again, Chris, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you.
This has been awesome, awesome, awesome. Thanks everybody for listening. And until next time, this is Tad Stevens with Micro Success Secrets. Bye for now.
Bye, Tad.